Okay, here with Blais Racing Services with his race car, Chris, racing legend. First off, what do you guys do here?
We do a little bit of everything. So we can build your cars, we can work on them, we can prep them.
Like that? Build that thing?
Yeah, we built a nice ride over there. We work with a lot of cool people and the best in the industry. We use Mitchell Alsa for all our suspension components. This is actually one of his tube chassis. We just figured out what works and what doesn't work. I already spent the time and the money to go through that. So if you come to us, you get all that, all that information that we've already learned the whole process, especially with the Can-Am X3s or specialty. I run the Kenda Mastodon tires. I know a lot of people just buy tires based on how they look, but these things freaking work excellent, especially in the rocks, the sand. They're a little looser on the hard pack, but I actually prefer a loose car on the hard pack. Feels actually faster. We've had awesome luck with the Metal FX wheels. We use iBox springs. My buddy Tom Morris, I work with him constantly. I probably talk to him 2 or 3 times a week about suspension, and we're always, literally every time this car gets raced or driven, we make changes to the suspension internally to try to take it to the next level and be better. Sometimes it's worse, and then we go back. But it's just one of those things we cycle through a lot of shocks and just to try stuff. So we'll change a different set so we can put it on, and if I like it and I feel that's the right direction, we'll keep going with it, or we go back to what the setup we already had going. So we do a ton of that.
Okay, so as far as this goes, so you said all-sup chassis. How long have you had it? How long have you been racing it?
So I've had this car for a little over, actually it's like 13 months now. So this is his King of the Hammers style chassis with the both sides, with his desert bumper, little variations to it to kind of suit my needs. This one I actually have a door bar that opens on my side, the driver's side, so it's a little easier to climb in and out. The sanctioning bodies have been perfectly fine with it because it's just a nice solid bar and pin. I put we put a lot of effort into development of the cars, as you actually found out today.
Yeah. Okay, so engine.
So engine, I run the unlimited class, so I'm a little more open on what I can do. I prefer to run a stock tune, so we're not adding a bunch of timing and boost. I don't have a huge budget to replace engines all the time that wear out, so I usually do some head work. We clean things up, just kind of make it a little bit more efficient, and just get the power band that I'm looking for. I usually like something with a little bit more torque than just power up top.
Are you tuning it a lot, or
No, we don't do much tuning. It's a bone stock tune Can-Am does for us with like a bunch of they pull out a bunch of the limp modes and protection features, just so if we do have a problem, we can keep going at a good pace, and we just have to, doesn't tell you exactly what it is, but it'll have you can have misfires and just keep on going, but you got to eventually fix the problem. But at least you can get there and it doesn't slow you down too much.
So is that a stock turbo on there?
Yep, stock turbo.
You just got big oil pump and big water pump and then alternator?
Yeah, we run an alternator kit. The LaRue alternator kit we found was the best out of all the systems we've tried. We run basically a TCP radiator. It's a stock replacement radiator, even in this car, that we just changed the fittings, a couple fittings on it. Stock fan and shroud. We run an oil cooler that's separate. So basically the heat from the oil is not going into the cooling system. So we run a separate oil cooler, and that allowed us to basically eliminate half the radiator doesn't have to be all the way across the back of the car.
Right.
So we just got a 2-pound oil cooler that does the job, makes it work for us. So
then yeah, you said stock, or you guys did the custom exhaust, and
yeah, we built the exhaust just to fit. You gotta, fortunately, We run a pretty big muffler to try to keep the noise down. It's a little deeper, so it's not too tingy in your ear. But there's not a lot of room to add much muffler left when you add everything else. Try to keep the weight down, but.
Then suspension. Who's your guy?
So I work with Tom Morris on suspension. We use Mitchell Alsop's suspension components. These are like a +3 trailing arm, so the car is a little bit longer. I like to keep the stock width so I can run stock axles, kind of prep the axles and the CV joints to loosen them up a little bit so we don't have any overheating problems. We make some custom heat sinks that we run on the inner CVs, pull some heat out. At high speeds, for a long time, they get really hot. They never get a break to cool down. So last thing you want is a CV problem.
Right. And then who's your suspension tuner?
I work with this guy, Tom Morris. He has freaking tons of experience. He's probably, I think he's like 70 years old now. But the dude used to run the Ivan Stewart program back in the day. He's worked on Indy cars, every off-road vehicle in existence. He's worked with the best in the business, and it's cool to have someone you can talk to that understands what you're telling them and is willing to make the change. Like, a lot of suspension guys just think they know everything and they don't want to take the feedback of the driver, and I think that's really important, and we've made huge strides. So anybody that buys, or runs one of our packages or works with Mitchell Alsa basically gets a similar suspension package. You buy a new car and then we basically help tune it. We do driver training, we do setup days. I put a lot of miles in the cars, so we can get a lot done very quickly.
In some nasty stuff. Okay, so a lot going on up here.
Yeah, we kept it super simple in here. There's barely any floorboard panels, just kind of what we need, necessities. We run an AIM system for all the accessory wiring, the keypad, it's full data logging system. We have, oil temps, fuel pressures, oil pressure. We even monitor CV temperatures. The system's pretty rad at what it can do. We use all PCI radio equipment. You gotta have clear communications. Just not having any problems is definitely key. Run Mastercraft seats, impact wheel. I run a really high-powered steering unit, so I can drive the car a little bit more aggressively with one arm. We use the Monarch hand controls, so the foot pedals are all still there. It's same thing a lot of guys use, down is throttle and forward is brake, and I feel like I've tried a couple of different systems, but that is, for me, the easiest and quickest transition from throttle to brake, so I can, have really high corner entry speeds and exit speed without,
What are these guys over here? Tie rods?
Oh yeah, so there's some spare, there's like a spare tie rod and a spare radius rod that will work for basically all of them. We use a different adjustable so we can extend it and make it work for any of the three.
Oh, okay.
So we carry that.
Belts.
Yeah, a million of those. Where do you keep those usually?
Belts right here.
Oh yeah,
just
the
right
belts
there?
are kind of just slipped in.
Oh.
We usually keep at least two or three in the car.
You got.
I usually always like to have at least two.
You got the AGM jack.
Yeah,
Right.
we use AGM jack.
And then is that the fire extinguisher? That's the suppression system.
No, so this is just the end cab fire extinguisher. We do have, there's a nozzle behind the passenger seat, and then on the other side of the firewall. So like if it melts the nozzle, then the 5-pound fire suppression just it opens the valve and just lets it flow.
Right.
So it gives you like another 50 seconds of time.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we have one, just basically it's on both sides of the firewall near the turbo, which is the hottest point in the car.
Yeah.
The most likely to flame up.
And you got up here, that's the tire pressure monitor.
Yeah, we run a tire pressure monitor. We use tire balls, so you don't always know when a tire's flat. So the tire pressure monitor allows us to confirm that the tire's flat,
Yep.
So, because there's always feel flat, but we like to change it at a pit so we can keep on rolling.
Beautiful machine, man.
Yep.
So that's the back of the fuel cell?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the bottom and the back, and it's
20.
25 gallons.
Oh, I see, and that's where you got the check valve for the breather.
Yeah.
And then all your fancy chrome heat wrap stuff or gold heat
Yeah,
wrap.
we put some stuff to help a little bit.
Yeah.
This thing has a bunch of rock protection because the high sides allowed more rocks to get further back. So
Right.
there's literally these. We built these wings that kind of deflect some down, and we run these. Then there's those that get beat up, and there's even more protection right by the caliper in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's 4 layers of rock protection.
Those mud flaps get so bent that I have to sit on this tire and push as hard as I can to bend them back. Just from the roof.
Those front ones?
Yeah, just from the,
Oh,
just
yeah.
from the roofs.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
these tires shoot a lot of rocks.
That's crazy.